map. And we went months without anything here. So it ain't over, and the hospital, the case rate went down. It started going down at 12 o'clock on the 20th. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
That as soon as Biden was sworn in, the new case rate started going down. Now everybody in the Obama administration said that the economy under our new president was riding on Obama's coattails. So I think Biden's going to take credit for the fact that the case rate's going down. But anyhow, I made a mistake. The thing has become bigger than we wanted it to be, and we got to get to cancer here in a minute. So I'm going to read these questions when you tell me it's okay.
Yeah, I tell you what, we have, and you know, I don't want to say, I appreciate what you said as far as like we made a mistake, but the two of you, and I'm gonna bring in Dr. Marlowe. When we first started here, he really counseled us. I'll say that he brought us the fresh, new information. Right. From down in Atlanta. He
from the world. He's a worldwide expert.
He's in Atlanta. I mean,
yeah, right. He is right. In Atlanta.
And so I wouldn't say mistake, but I understand, you know, maybe
my prediction wasn't too good.
Okay,
huh? Yeah.
But at the same time, you guys have done a great job bringing information. What we wanted to get back to this year is obviously, you know, we're going to continue our COVID-19 updates. But we wanted to get back to your questions also, because we stressed that last year between the two doctors here. Hey, healthcare has to continue. We have Northside Hospital here. We have the North Georgia Cancer Research Department right over here in Blue Ridge.
It's about 100 yards up the hill.
Right here, where Dr. Whaley goes every day at 8. We don't know where you go. We're going to have to ask.
Put a tracker on.
Sooner or later, we're going to
tracer on.
You always say you have to be somewhere by 8. We're going to find out. But these two great doctors in our community. So we do have questions, and let's start there.
All right. This guy, and Ray's going to have to chime in on this one. This question here comes up. I hear this question probably 2 or 3 times a week. My husband has iron deficiency anemia and is 72 years old and in great health, only taking cholesterol and blood pressure medicine. He had some blood in his stool on a test in the doctor's office. Well, that says he went in for a physical, doesn't it? And the doctor wants to do a colonoscopy and look in his stomach. That's proper response. He has no stomach pain and does not see blood. He wants to do the mail-in Cologuard test instead. His mother had colon cancer, and he had a scope 7 years ago and doesn't like the prep. What is your advice? Well, my advice first is to follow his doctor's suggestions, and that is to take the colonoscopy and not try to do something simple. But you put up that first slide there, Lonnie, that shows you think about, we talk about lung cancer here all the time, and we talk about breast cancer all the time, and lung cancer is the biggest killer of men, and breast is the biggest killer of women, but colon cancer is the second biggest killer of people because it's a huge problem. And it's a lot less pleasant to have a colonoscopy than it is a mammogram, and a lot of women don't want to do a mammogram because of it. But basically, the question really here is, how should this patient who's anemic and has blood in his stool be studied? Show that next one. It is absolutely clear which screening test is most effective. 1 in 13 people with colon cancer, Cologuard misses. Cologuard misses 30% of people with polyps, and people with polyps that are large, 60% of them are going to turn into cancer. So Cologuard it's a nice test, but it's not a test for people who have a family history of cancer, who have blood in their stool, or who have a personal history of polyps. So
I mean,
get the colonoscopy.
To echo what you're saying, I mean, it's
pull that down.
contraindicated here.
Yeah, it's actually contraindicated on the box.
On the box, you know, if somebody has suspected cancer with anemia and blood in their stool, it's cancer until proven otherwise. There's no reason why to say, oh, maybe it's cancer. You've got to go look and see. You know, so you're wasting your time with the Cologuard here.
It's like that mammogram with the lump in your breast. You can't just ignore it. Show me that last one, because this is the important part here. He's 70. You look at the incidence of colon cancer as it goes up in age. He's in that group that's got a lot of colon cancer. You can pull that down, Lonnie. All right, so Dr. Tiddman says if you got blood in your stool, it's colon cancer or stomach cancer, until proven otherwise. All right, so is that a good enough answer, Lonnie?
Now, I don't want to step all over Cologuard. It's a great screening test, and particularly for those people who are going to avoid a colonoscopy.
And have no history
and
or
have no history or
contraindication.
anything else. But in this situation, you know, you're
I don't
delaying
understand.
diagnosis.
I don't understand developing. I mean, I don't understand avoiding a colonoscopy, and I'll tell you why. First of all, obviously over time. So I think the first one is at 50. Is that the first
50 in every 10 years.
Well,
And
45 with a positive family history.
So 50, 45 positive family, 50, and
50,
then
67.
right. I don't understand, because I always say when it comes to healthcare, what you think might be a bad day could equal what I call plural good days. You know, because if you find out something, you know, so it's, you know, it's unpleasant or it's a bad day or you don't like, but it could be the answer to what gives you good days.
I want you to take that argument to your friends about taking the vaccine. Going on to the next question. That's enough.
That was a sneak attack.
He got me, didn't
That
he?
was a sneak
But
attack.
no, I want to say that, but I don't understand. I just want to say before you move to the next one,
All right.
I don't understand why do you hear most people, you know, don't want to go do a colonoscopy? I mean,
They don't
It's
like
the
the
prep.
prep.
They don't like the prep.
They don't like spending a whole day on soup and taking the laxative.
okay, all right, okay, all right. So
That's it.
Now, if you had a really nice bathroom, you know, marble and gold fixtures and stuff, maybe it's probably
Yeah,
different.
and maybe a TV on the wall.
we need to move to the
All
next
right,
question.
okay, this-
I was trying to.
This next question is important, and I know exactly where it came from because I checked into it. So this question is not out of our practice, but it's out of our community. My wife is 20 years after chemotherapy for locally advanced breast cancer. Locally advanced means she probably had lymph nodes. She has had some anemia since completing treatment, which included chemotherapy and radiation therapy. She has not recurred, but now has been told that she has early myelodysplastic syndrome. We talked about that about a month ago, remember? Yeah. And the doctors want to give her, quote, Lance Armstrong shots every 4 weeks to build up her blood. What do you think, and why not B12 or iron? Well, you know, pick of that. And lastly, and can she take the COVID vaccine with this diagnosis, meaning low blood counts? Put that first one up there, Lonnie. When we've made statements here about how cancer therapy, taking chemotherapy to diminish the chances of recurrence and how successful it is, there are fleas on every dog. And if you take a vitamin, you might bump up a vitamin taste. And, you know, if you take an aspirin, you might get a stomach ulcer. This is a huge, huge list of late-term effects of breast cancer treatment, and you can't read it. But you've got cosmetic ones, you've got functional ones, you've got big arms, you've got second malignancies. But if you go down, you don't have to get down here very far until you come to second malignancies and myelodysplasias. So you can pull that down, Monty. But that's a page long. What does myelodysplasia mean? Myelodysplasia means that the chemo and the radiation therapy, given generally for probably 6 months, 7 months, depending on how advanced it was and what drugs were done, have the side effect of dropping your blood count because they work on your bone marrow. Now, you've heard us talk about stem cell transplants and all of that. Show that next one, Lonnie. You've seen this a million times, but there's that old bone that makes this red blood cell, and right up here is that blood stem cell, and it makes red ones, it makes white ones, and it makes platelets. Pull it down, Lonnie. So this woman has been anemic for 20 years. So that means that the combination of chemotherapy and radiation therapy and whatever else, more than likely, now because people get myelodysplastic syndrome that have not had any cancer therapy. Most of them have not had cancer therapy. But the incidence of myelodysplastic syndrome is about 1% in people who've had chemotherapy, and probably 2 or 3 in 1,000 of people who haven't. So it's not common. It's not big, but it's still there. So the etiologies, put up that next one. This is an English thing here. Etiologies be AE, right? Ology. The secondary causes are, the top one is treatment with cytotoxic drugs. Most of the ones on the left-hand side are due to low dose exposures to things like whether you pull it back down, Lonnie, whether you worked in a leather plant or whether you got the exposure to, TV screens or cell phones, if you ask my wife. But anyhow, go to the next one and we'll get out of this. Every one of these charts you see like that BKP starts out up here at the top with MDS, and then there's just lots of things that are done in terms of looking at this in terms of genetics and everything else. Well, this patient here clearly is in a low-risk group, so all that stuff to the right goes away, and she's just got anemia. Okay, you can pull that down, Monty. What's the Lance Armstrong shot? You remember? Talked about Lance? Oh, come on now. You remember Lance Armstrong had testicular cancer in his lung, his brain, and his liver.
Right, okay.
And he was almost going to die.
Right.
And he went up to see my buddy Larry Einhorn at Indiana, and he got treated with chemotherapy, and he survived. I mean, he was a little skinny, 110-pound weakling.
Yeah.
All right, now, 2 years later, he has gotten strong enough to ride the bike, but he's not doing quite as good as he should be doing, and he remembers that he was taking an experimental shot during chemotherapy to keep his red count up. Well, that was in the days when endurance athletes were donating their own blood, freezing it, and then the night before an event, thawing it and getting their own blood back. That's called auto blood donation, and it is cheating. That was after the days when they were taking testosterone to build up their red blood. So go back to the East Germans taking testosterone in the 60s and 70s. They got urine tests that would catch the testosterone. So the next thing that weightlifters and endurance athletes did was auto transfusion. You do 2 or 3 bottles of your own blood, then you take it before for the event, and then you get a real high red count, and you do better than everybody else does. Our team did very poorly in the Mexico City Olympics, our Olympic team, and then they moved the training camp up to high in the mountains of Colorado so that they would keep their blood count up. So Lance Armstrong remembered that shot. Well, by that time it had been marketed. It's called Procrit. So Lance Armstrong got underground Procrit and began to give it to himself to keep his red blood cell count up, and he won the next 9, I think, Tour de France. Well, they couldn't test for it in those days. And then later came a urine test, a test on the urine for Procrit, and all of his urines were frozen in the lab, and they went back and they got him, and he had been taking that for 9 years, and that's when they took away all of his gold medals and made him pay the Postal Service $20 million for having supported him. So the Lance Armstrong shot is a shot that was developed for keeping the blood count up in patients actively undergoing chemotherapy. This patient's not getting chemotherapy, but she has myelodysplastic syndrome, and the Lance Armstrong shot obviously isn't going to hurt her. It made him go out and win the Tour de France, will raise her blood count and make it easier for her to live normally. So let him give her the Lance Armstrong shot. Her anemia is not iron deficient, it's not B12 deficient, and they won't help. And the last part of the question was, with low blood counts, taking shots and having had cancer, can she take the vaccine? And the answer to that question is everybody can take the vaccine, whether you're taking active chemotherapy, whether you just had an operation or anything else. And the only contraindication to taking the vaccine is an allergy to the vaccine or its components. And this vaccine has been made without the usual components that are in those other vaccines that people have reactions to. So really, in essence, there is no contraindication in anybody, regardless of past history, treatment today for leukemia, having a bone marrow transplant, having had a cardiac bypass or angioplasty or anything else, to not take the vaccine. Now I'm going to shut up and let Ray talk.
The word contraindication means that it's against being indicated. There are a couple other classes of people who shouldn't take it. Pregnant ladies, it's not been studied in pregnancy. Children under 16 or I think even under 18, it's not been studied in those children. So it's not that we think that it is going to harm them, it's just we don't know. So there's no indication for them yet, but it's not contraindicated. So you won't see pregnant ladies getting it yet.
I want to thank North Georgia Cancer Research here, affiliated with Northside Hospital always, for this segment. Let me say this: you brought up something, and I want to. People watch and pay attention to what we do here, and it's very important. And we take this serious, and you two take it serious when we share information. Your question to me earlier about the vaccine. I received a phone call earlier this week. And the phone call is from somebody over 70. It said, I just received a phone call saying I'm eligible to make an appointment to get the vaccine. Would you take the vaccine? Would you, if you were me, would you go get the vaccine? I didn't even hesitate. Yes, go get it. Okay. The second question is, did Dr. Whaley take the vaccine? Absolutely.
I've had both of them.
Absolutely. So I was asked that this week. So to your question or what you said, somebody asked me, said, will I take the vaccine? And what I said was, you know what? I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, okay, let's get our healthcare workers, let's get our nursing home and senior care workers, let's get our first responders, let's get our seniors, let's get let's work down. And when we've done that, then, I mean, I don't want to say, I don't want to be selfish, but then when we've done that,
it's your turn.
It's my turn.
Yeah, but there are 130 million people over age 65 that have got to get it before you get yours.
Exactly.
You're 36 years old, right?
He's 38 now.
38. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to 36, 38. We'll work with that. But you know, you're 100% right.
There's 130 million people in line in front of you, and they should get it.
So I'm not sitting here saying no. I mean, somebody asked me to say no. I just gave you very clear where I'm on it. But when I received a call yesterday, if I worked in a nursing facility, senior facility, cared for a senior, I'd be next in line.
Yeah.
So I don't.
BKP, can we spend a few minutes? I think this is an interesting topic or social thing you've brought up here.
Okay.
I think socially we're seeing a lot of COVID fatigue.
Yes.
I mean, people are tired of this. They're tired of being locked up. They're tired of all the misinformation. They're tired of the hysterics. They're tired of the confusion. And yet it is still a very scary thing. I think a year or so ago I talked about using the C word in my office. I don't tell patients they have cancer. I send them down the bill and let him tell them.
Right.
I just say I could be using the C word on you, and I'm going to let someone else do that. But COVID is a C. So people who've been sick with COVID, been in the hospital, they're scared for their life. They got the Godzilla bacteria. It's supposed to be killing people. Well, they survive, but they come home and they go, what did I do wrong? What should I have done different? How long do I have to be alone? Will I be giving this to someone? I mean, they have all these fears because there's so much misinformation out there. And, quite honestly, we as physicians are still learning. We're still learning about this virus and this disease and all its manifestations. So, there is a lot of exhaustion out there. One of the things that I'm seeing that I'm a little bit, I didn't think I would see this, is that the vaccination rate is not all that great. I mean, one of the local hospitals where you get the vaccine for free and you got it first, half of the staff have turned it down. Half. Now, you're never going to get to the herd immunity rate at that, where we want 60-70% of the people vaccinated or have had the disease. You're not going to get there when half the people are turning it down. So there's a lot of more education to go on to get that up a little bit more. The second thing is that there are other technologies that we're completely ignoring, and that's the instant test. There are 2 or 3 manufacturers that have had emergency use applications put in that are valid tests. Now, this is a buyer beware thing, because there are really some bad actors out there selling pieces of paper that don't do anything.
All right, they're the numbers for the test he's talking about right
Yeah.
now.
So, I would encourage people to research those tests. They're called lateral flow tests, and see if that might be useful in their family, particularly if they're non-vaccine folks. If they're not going to get the vaccine. This test will let you answer the question on the spot as best as we know how to do it. Do I have the vaccine? Do I have COVID today? Because you want to isolate. You don't want to be out in public if you think you have COVID. And this lets you do that. So, and it can mitigate the spread of COVID as good as a vaccine if it will be used with discipline. But I just think, we need to admit that we have a lot of exhaustion around this disease. We've had a lot of bad stuff happen. I mean, all these economic shutdowns, it just blows my mind. I heard that Boris in England is saying they're going to stay shut down until this summer in England. There are no studies that show economic shutdowns do any good. And there are plenty of studies that show that they do great harm. And yet we still have politicians all over the world shutting people down. California still shut down. There's absolutely no science behind that. And there's plenty of knowledge that does great harm. And so why shouldn't everybody be miffed and upset and distraught because we're not consistent and we got still nonsense going on?
And the thing is that about getting the vaccine, there's not enough of it out there.
Yeah.
A week ago, I think I said last Friday, a week ago when they first started giving it here in the county, might have been a week before that, on that Tuesday when they first got it, if you called them up, you got in there that afternoon. By the end of the first afternoon, they gave you an appointment for about a week later. And then the second or third day, when you answered, when you called, it says you are number 56 in line for the phone to be answered, and they quit answering the telephone. And then it all went to the Georgia Department of Public Health website, and then we talked about that last week. And then I tell people every morning, go on the county, that Georgia Department of Public Health website, and then hit all the adjacent counties around here to see about availability. Because what I don't really understand is that some small family pharmacies who did not even order the vaccine are having vaccines sent to them. And they might get a box that's got 48 shots in it or 20 shots in it. And so they will make that available and it'll be gone in a day or two, but you don't know until you go on the website that some family pharmacy in McKaysville or down here in LJ got 20 vaccine doses. So this rollout and getting it out into the hands, I think Ray's office probably will be able to give the vaccine, in a few weeks. We are giving the vaccine in my office in Atlanta. I've been doing so for a week. But our problem there is like everybody else's. We've got everybody that walks in the door is over 65. Everybody that walks in the door needs the shot. So we did use up all of our original supply in the first half of the first day. And so now we got to wait a week till we get some more. So we are giving the vaccine in my office. We'll probably be giving it in this office here in Blue Ridge within a week if there's any vaccine to give. And that's the issue. And I don't know that anything that Mr. Biden has said President Biden has said he's going to do can crank up Moderna and Pfizer any faster than they're going. They are at maximum productivity. Now, you got a couple more vaccines coming online sooner or later, but to come out with 130 million doses of this stuff in 6 months is a mountain I think is going to be very difficult to climb.
Well, you just answered something that I'm thinking about, because we hear distribution, we hear distribution chain is broken and this and that. But I'm thinking to myself, are they not manufacturing this as fast as they can?
Yeah, but
And
think
you can-
about the amount that you need. I mean,
Exactly. So, I mean, when you need something in the millions, not 130,
130 million you'd like to have in a month.
and then right, and then you have to get it to
you have to distribute it. You got the logistics.
I mean, this is not-
Here's one of the other things that we don't talk about or say about. But there was this thing: we're going to give 100 million vaccines in the first 100 days of the new administration. Well, that's an impressive number, but that's 1 million a day.
But that's what we're doing now.
Well, that's what they want to do, but anyway, that's still not that great of a number.
No, but we
'Cause
are
it would
giving
take a year.
we are giving 1 million a day now.
Yeah.
That's about the number that
Yeah.
are getting immunized every day in the country.
But it's
today.
got to go to 2 or 3 times that rate for us to really get ahead of this.
You need to get
problem.
that 130 million people done in 30 days, not 130 days.
What
Well,
is?
let me tell you the next
Go
thing,
ahead.
because this is another thing we need to get on. I got the healthcare news right here, and people listen to this and they think that they get scared to death. CDC, new COVID strain may dominate the U.S. by March, and there may be a new peak of 80,000 cases a day in March and April. Everybody goes into a panic over that. And I think that's very likely to occur. Let me give you a little bit of science. I want you to imagine that you've got a one of these, what do you call that thing with that lollipop that's got the Tootsie Roll in the middle of it?
Right.
Huh?
Tootsie Pop.
Okay,
So
okay. The COVID virus is a Tootsie Pop. On the outside, it's got a case. On the inside, it's got the
goo.
It's got the goo, and the way it hits you is on the outside. There's a spike. Now, this is the season of the year when you go through the woods and the beggar lice get on your pants. Beggar lice get on jeans and on khaki
Corduroy,
pants
yeah.
much greater than they get on wool pants. Same beggar lice. If you just imagine that sticker that makes it stick here is the spike protein on the edge of the COVID virus, and that the new strain has a better spike, so it'll stick to your pants better. That means it's going to stick to your nose better, it's going to stick to your bronchial tubes better, and that's going to make it more infectious. But it's still got the same Tootsie Pop, and the vaccine is to the Tootsie Pop middle, not to the spike. So the vaccine works regardless of how many
Right.
times this beggar lice
because the
gets
media
better.
keeps yelling strain, this high power potent.
It is.
I mean,
it's
there's
a,
so many.
It's a beggar lice that sticks quicker to your clothes.
But the core of the virus
That's correct.
is identical, and the
RNA is the
vaccine.
same.
That's what the
Is the
vaccine
vaccine's effective.
eradicates.
Bill, would you read
Did I-
that headline again?
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it.
I just
New
wonder.
COVID strain may dominate the U.S. by March, and could peak at 80 to 100,000 cases a day in late April.
What is the use of that headline and that story,
Absolutely none.
other than to get people
Only to get
afraid
me
and
scared.
scared?
Right.
No, absolutely useless. We have no idea. They're speculating. Well, we may have forest fire this summer.
Well, we don't have forest fire.
Yeah. Well,
We gotta
we're going to have
check-
COVID.
We're going to have to check everybody for matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so people watch our show, and there was a question last week. When I left, I checked my phone. I left, and somebody said,
Oh, you need to check right before it's over if we get any that's during the show. 'Cause
"Well, I want to address this one." Somebody said, "What they're hearing is people talk about that don't want to take the vaccine is fertility," and that is a. Now you said, obviously, women that are expecting. There's no studies on that, but. Somebody said, fertility is something I'm hearing in a lot of circles.
Nothing but rumor.
Nothing but rumor.
Okay, now just remember, you got 40,000 people in one study of the Pfizer. You've got like 120,000 when you add all the Pfizers together. You've got like 120,000 of the Modernas. That's 250 to 300,000 people who every breath they took, every meal they had, every stool they passed, every night they slept was very well recorded. When Ray does a study up there for somebody with an antibiotic or a diabetic thing, he knows how often they got their hair cut. He knows how often they got caught for speeding. I mean, they collect every bit of data on those people. They did not show anything adverse effects of this. Number one, people say it's got the way it'll affect your fertility is it's got fetal DNA in it. It got no fetal DNA. There is no DNA in it, and there are no fetal parts used in making it. The other is that what's this guy's name that's Amazon or something or other that's supposed
Bezos.
to but no the one that's supposed to be the big vaccine guy that was quoted in an interview about 15 years ago that they should be able to vaccinate against something or other. What is his name?
You're not talking about Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill Gates.
That's not the Amazon guy.
Well, I just said it's one of those guys.
Different world billionaire.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about that stuff.
Right.
I don't even have a Facebook page. But there are people in the conspiracy world that believe that Bill Gates is behind the vaccine and the disease, and that there is stuff in the vaccine that's going to change your DNA and your mind, and it's going to be mind control and stuff. I mean, that is so fallacious. Well, you all should listen to this. There are 10 doctors on YouTube that tell you. I don't know what to say about that. If you'd like to know what the truth is, Mayo Clinic has got a real good 20-question thing about it. New England Journal's got one, but don't take 8 guys on YouTube. New England Journal's had to pull some articles. Mayo Clinic, I used to always say the 3 most overrated things in the whole world are home cooking, home loving, and the Mayo Clinic. But you can take it to the bank. Some of these,
Remember, one of the things that we talked about, just as a rule of thumb, is trying to get your head out of the machine world. Is have experts and people that you care about and trust in your life. Okay, so have a doctor that you can go talk to and ask questions of. Know who in your family is fairly well informed that you can trust what they're saying. But these strangers, that can put anything they want and say anything they want, that's foolishness to go listen to them.
Is that your final statement?
Well,
today?
but some of these people will say to us, "You've been brainwashed by the AMA. You're brainwashed by the deep state." I don't think every physician can be brainwashed by the deep state.
Not every?
Not every.
Not every. You have a final statement, sir?
Donate blood and take the vaccine.
Donate blood, takes the vaccine.
I don't have any more Southern quotes, but you kind of banned me last time. So
What? I can't believe it didn't happen.
Hey, I want you to tell that one about it was so cold.
No.
All right.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh, go ahead.
It was so cold last week that they saw in Blue Ridge attorneys with their hands in their own pockets.
Okay.
With that, we want to thank Georgia Cancer Specialists, Northside Comprehensive Cancer Center, and the Research Institution at the Northside Cancer Center in Blairsville and Blue Ridge for the sponsorship of this program, which is run over by about 4 minutes.
Yes, we're late, but we're going to be back. We're going to talk politics right after this on the next segment. I want to thank Dr. William Whaley and Dr. Raymond Tiddman. Hey, your health care, don't let it go. Make your doctor's appointment. Do what you have to do. Take your vaccine. Take the vaccine. That's about it. That's about it. We're going to go with that. I'm your host, BKP. We'll see you right after these messages with our next segment.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days gets it done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountains lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done. Days Chevrolet, Days gets it done. Find new roads.